The Tuna fire damaged our watershed above the city of Burbank. As a result of that damage, there's loose rock, soil, sediment, and other debris. This debris could wash down into residential neighborhoods, impacting our roads and residents that live along the watershed area. As a result, we're trying to inform and educate the neighborhood as well as possible to make sure that they're prepared and they can mitigate any potential impacts that may occur on their property. So before the fires were even declared 100% contained, Burbank Public Works, along with the Fire Department Emergency Management Division, were already assessing the potential risks that might be immediately following the threat. Immediately following the fire, the 3 cities impacted by the Tuna fire began working with Los Angeles County Public Works Flood Control District, Los Angeles County Fire Forestry Division, and the United States Department of Agriculture, along with the National Weather Service. In addition, the City of Burbank formed a multi-agency task force bringing together all applicable city departments. We've been looking at potential degree of impact, what steps can be taken to mitigate these impacts or prepare for when significant storms are forecasted, and have now started implementing these mitigation and preparedness actions. Between the terrain, composition of our soil, bedrock, and other factors above Burbank, hydroseeding is actually a very ineffective strategy and will have little to no benefit. Native regeneration is the best course of action in this particular situation. Fire actually is a normal cycle to clear old growth and to help stimulate new generation and regrowth. After consultation with various organizations, native regeneration is the best course of action. Although the city knows that these organizations, as well as some individuals, have the best of intentions, planting vegetation could actually be detrimental or even potentially make things worse. If non-native species of vegetation are introduced, they could further destabilize the soil and increase erosion. And many non-native species are actually invasive and will take over the area, killing off native vegetation, and in many cases becoming an even larger fire risk in the future. Don't delay. If you've been provided mitigation advice by County Public Works, you should begin taking that recommended action immediately. Even if your property was not one of the identified properties, you should assess potential impacts on your own property and take the necessary course of action to prepare now. Empty sandbags will be available for Burbank residents with identification at Burbank Fire Station 16. Burbank residents may receive up to 25 sandbags. Those who require additional sandbags can contact Burbank Public Works. Bulk sand for residents to use to fill these sandbags will be placed at Bryce Canyon Park. Residents will need to bring their own shovel and fill their own sandbags. It is recommended that 2 or more people work together to fill the sandbags and move those sandbags. Depending on the forecasted rain event, evacuation warnings, also known as voluntary evacuations, or evacuation orders, also known as mandatory evacuations, may be implemented in certain neighborhoods. This will be on a case-by-case basis on forecasted rain events. If evacuation warnings or orders are put in place, we highly encourage you to follow the warning. If you don't evacuate before the situation escalates, you could be placing yourself and family in jeopardy, and first responders may not be able to get to you based on the circumstances. If you do not evacuate when the orders are initially given and water, mud, and debris start flowing, at that point your best action is to remain indoors and shelter in place. Attempting to cross fast-moving water, mud, or debris flows can be very dangerous and potentially deadly. Weather is an act of nature and is unpredictable. When we issue evacuation warnings or orders, we do it in good faith using our best judgment and certain thresholds or trigger points with public safety in mind based off of weather forecasts. Living in California, we've all experienced weather forecasts that don't pan out the way they were predicted. It's easy to become complacent after evacuation warnings or orders were given and nothing or minimal impact was experienced, and evacuation fatigue can begin to set in where people will stop listening to these warnings. From a public safety and public information standpoint, we try to be as accurate as possible when issuing these warnings, but the weather doesn't always do as forecasted. We ask that you remain vigilant and not let evacuation fatigue set in.